From classrooms to careers, bright futures are near as K-12 and beyond, empowering educators right here. Tune into AUK 98.7 where excellence begins.
Hello and welcome to podcast series to K-12 and beyond, advancing teaching and learning. And today at the studio, we have very exciting guests and I will let them introduce themselves. Let's start with Dr. Zana.
Hello, my name is Zana Ibrahim. I'm the Interim President of the University of Kurdistan Hewlêr and also the Dean of the School of Social Sciences at the same university.
Welcome, Dr. Zana.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Arakelyan, President of Armenian English Language Teachers Association.
Welcome, Anna, to Kurdistan
Thank
and
you.
to this podcast.
And I'm Rhodes, President of the American University of Kurdistan. I've been here before.
All right, so let's start our conversation. Today is a really good day to be alive, and we are advancing education and most importantly, learning. So let's start with you, Dr. Rhodes. Why do you think that it is important, and especially it is important for AUK, to dwell into this conference and to bring together all the practitioners and thinkers in education to advance learning?
I think universities have to take the lead in ensuring that K through 12 provides the highest quality education possible, including the various soft skills and other competencies that are very important for students not just to succeed at university, but also to succeed in their careers beyond. A university can only optimize student learning outcomes if K through 12 provides to us students with the basic skills so they can do the university work. So it's very important for us to partner with the K through 12 spectrum, the public schools, as well as the private international schools to optimize the student learning experience, to upskill teachers, to make sure that everyone learns to their full ability.
Thank you. Anna, you have been working with teachers and you have inspiration in that direction and you have pretty much dedicated your life to that. Why are you doing that?
I'm a strong believer that if we want to develop education in the country and if we want to bring quality education to young people, we have to start even from kindergarten and then continue with K to 12, because I believe that the roots are embedded in the K to 12 education, and if we start investing properly in the teachers, then we will have a bright future for our country and for our countries in general.
Thank you. And Dr. Zana, both as a researcher, as an academic, and a leader in academia, why is advancing teaching and learning important, especially today?
I would say it's important, especially today, but this discussion is not specific to today. At any point in time, we need to be concerned about advancing education. This discussion needs to be had today, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, and every day. And that's because the world is evolving. The way we teach changes. The challenges of education change, especially now with the technological advances that we see in the world. The students that we get today are different from the students that we had before. And as part of my keynote, I emphasize the need of not comparing, teachers not comparing themselves and their times to the students of today. I think this discussion needs to be had today, this is changing as we speak. It's evolving very fast. That's why it's important that teachers are equipped with responding to the challenge of dealing with a different student population.
Thank you, Dr. Zana. Now, we all agree, we heard keynote speakers and two of you are present here, and I think that Dr. Rendell also carried that specific theme, that it's not very easy to do what we want to do, and indeed the world has changed, But if we were to start today to do something practical, something that is within the circle of our influence, what would that be in your respective roles, in your respective areas, and opening that also to all the participants today, that they are going to conference rooms and learning from workshops? Maybe we start with you, Anna.
I think what we need to do is to be honest, because teaching is not an easy job, and we have all been in that position. We were all wearing at some point that hat, and we're still having that hat on. We have to be honest and sincere with the teachers, and such like events actually bring the educators together nationally and internationally, gives the ground for the teachers to believe that they're not alone and they belong to some place. And that sense of belonging and sharing the same challenges brings them all together as a community. And this is what we need to strive for, building that community where not knowing is not faux pas, let's say, but not wanting to learn is what we need to be cautious with. So we have to encourage the lifelong learning, and there is no ideal teacher. So we're all learning if we have undertaken the most difficult job in the world. So we have to be lifelong learners and invest in ourselves first.
Yeah, so maybe bridge on that. I remember, Dr. Zana, you said that we have to inspire curiosity, right? Let the students become knowledge seekers. And maybe from that perspective, what can we do? How can we do that?
Well, as I said, that's easier said than done. Now, we are at the transitional period in which there's the possibility of artificial intelligence replacing teachers altogether. And to me, this will never happen because we're giving teachers a new role. The role of the teacher is no longer giving information, because that could be done by students. Students could take care of that part of the learning process. What teachers need to do is create that motivation in students to master their learning. However, there's still a need for teachers to be there. And I vision the role of the teacher in the near future to be emotional support to learners. Mm-hmm. And that can never be achieved by anything but a human teacher who understands the process of growing as an individual. Learners need to grow, not go from one year to another, just passing some exams. So we should be looking at individual learners as whether that person is the same as last year or not. And that can only be measured in terms of their total repertoire, rather than just having more information, having more degrees, having passed more classes and courses. That can only be done by teachers who are into the learners individually. Learners need to be looked at as individual human beings in need of support, and that support, I would say, is more emotional than cognitive.
Right, thank you. Dr. Randall?
I'd like to say that one of the areas where there's greatest deficit within the educational sector is courage. People need more courage, whether it is students to be innovative and creative or teachers to embrace changes, and rather than try to hold on very closely to the status quo or the way they've been taught years ago or decades ago, they need to say, okay, the internet's a reality, AI's a reality. How do we maximize that experience? How do we incorporate it? They can control that process of the infusion of these new technologies into their classroom, into their lesson plans, but don't run away from the challenges, embrace those challenges. While it'll always be very important, you still have to teach the basic skills. written communication, oral communication, quantitative reasoning, scientific reasoning, the critical thinking that is so important now, problem solving, the creativity and innovation, which unfortunately is in a deficit these years at this time, simply because people resort to AI and the internet to give them ready-made solutions to whatever problems they are given. So courage is what needs to be taught. The teachers need to be taught there when they're going through their university studies, getting their bachelor's in basic education, and they need to instill that desire of curiosity within the students themselves.
Now let's look at Kurdistan. I know Anna maybe wouldn't have that insight, but we talked about it, that it's not the lack of education, of access. In fact, Kurdistan is a leader in that, globally. But what we have now as an issue is the lack of skills, lack of talents, right, that are needed in respective industries. And we as educators then would say, okay, did the learning not happen? Right? And that's why this conference today is happening, because we really have to think. We are investing, but we're not getting what we need. Now, how can we turn around that corner?
Well, first of all, we need to recognize that there's a problem. As you said, we've not been as successful. We need to acknowledge and admit that this is actually the case. And then we look at the root cause of this problem. As I said, and as you reiterated now, there's nothing wrong, there's nothing problematic with access. Access to education is available, whether it be through public or private institutions. Now, we need to also look at I think we need to look at the entire education process. Now, the education process has a number of key components, resources, textbooks and curriculums, but more importantly, the consumers, the teachers and learners. To me, I emphasize the need for graduating skilled but also confident learners. I don't think the IQ of an average individual learner here in Kurdistan is below the IQ average of any other country. It's the same. It's probably better. I don't know, but there's no indication that we are not learning. The question is, why are we not in the position to make learning possible? So it's not about whether students learn or not. Actually, students learn very well. Mm-hmm. Now, that's evident in the grade 12 examinations that we do. Grade 12 examinations here in this country are very difficult, and it's a lot of memorization and route learning. And we have hundreds and thousands of students getting 100 out of 100, or in the range of 90s and above. So that means that students actually do their part. It's nothing wrong with students. Students are fine. The problem is what we expect from them that's problematic. Now we should change that. We should change this way of expectation that students need to pass year after year and just go to the next level until graduation. We should change that. And we can change that by changing the mindset. And we can't change the mindset unless we give confidence to students and learners that you don't have to wait for that system to take you to the market just with a degree rather than skills. You need to start from the beginning. That needs to start with parents, but most importantly with teachers, to give confidence to learners that it's now possible for anyone who wants it to be capable, to be skilled, to be knowledgeable, and resources are available. You know, people used to travel to other countries to get an education. You don't have to do that anymore, probably for the first time now, because of the availability of resources. We used to go get a book, and just one copy of a book is available within one person, and you have to go get it. You don't have to do that anymore. This information is available. You have to utilize it. But students don't utilize it unless you change expectations. And changing expectations only starts with teachers. We need to change teachers' mindsets to be focused on skill acquisition rather than just delivery of textbooks and materials.
And with that, if we only, like the teachers, if we change the expectations on teachers' side, but we also should change perhaps the environment, right?
Yeah, true.
The process. What is it given, right? Otherwise, if we don't also change that, would we be successful?
Now, Randall and I have been working on an education reform initiative for a couple of years now, and we all agree that the education system needs dramatic reform. And that reform is first of all, we looked at university admission. Now, admission into university is based on this IQ scale, and that has to change. And work has been done. And there's an understanding. Everybody recognizes that this has to change. I know that there are rules and regulations, there are national frameworks within the country of Iraq that makes it a bit difficult, but that needs to happen sooner or later. That has to happen, and unless we change that as well, this changing that expectation from teachers is an invalid expectation.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Dr. Zana. Now, because we're running out of time, I would like within that, I think this is a great point to put a pause. But if there was one wish that you want our listeners and viewers to ponder upon and maybe take action, what would that be?
I think Dr. Zana made a very good point about the teacher education. I would simply add that whatever reform the country would undertake, I think the key is to help the teachers and make sure that teachers are guided and make sure that teachers are not left alone, because we need to help them advance and not bring the extra pressure in the face of reforms into their lives.
Thank you, Anna.
I would say that all stakeholders need to be involved in national conversation. I don't think at this point we have a common definition or a common vision of what education should look like in the K through 12 spectrum. So we need not just governments, but we also need parents, we need students, we need the NGOs, we need employers. All these people coming together to develop a common vision. Because unless we have a common vision, what should students graduate high school knowing, being, then we are not going to be able to develop a curriculum or an assessment strategy or any concept of standards, whether we import those from the United States under Middle States or whether we find one locally. We have to have a national consensus on what should a student, a 12th year graduate, what should a university student look like, be able to do? That would be step number one.
Dr. Zana?
I would just say that the mindset of students is changing anyways. We'd better be a part of this. We as teachers need to be a part of this. Thank you.
All right. With that, and I will wrap up and say that whatever we do, let's inspire confidence all around. Confidence for learners and teachers and those who make changes. And this was K-12 and Beyond Conference, podcast number 1. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You've been listening to K-12 and Beyond, where teaching meets tomorrow. Keep aiming for excellence only on AUK 98.7.